no warning, and I'm here. I almost lost complete track of time. See how light it is out there? It is so light, and we are eating dinner outside, and wow, 1 minute it was 10 to 6, and then all of a sudden it was 6:30, and I had to run in and catch up. So I'm so glad you're here. I see one person. If you're here and you want to let me know, you kind of have to say that I can see you. So I'm so glad that one person is here, whoever you are. Thank you for coming by. Tonight is day 115 of grand reading for the grand kids and friends. So many nice special friends. I forgot to shut the fan off again. It's blowing all the nice warm air. The neighbors were in Kelowna today, and they said it was 17 degrees Celsius when they got home. So we are enjoying outside spaces in the lovely weather. Tonight's story is by John Irving, and it's called A Sound Like Someone Trying Not to Make a Sound. Hi, sorry to keep you. Hi, Mom. I'm glad you're there. So this is the little boy, and you see he has his own little teddy bear with him. This is illustrated by Tatiana Hauptmann, and she did all the illustrations for the original story. This is part of a bigger book. This was done by Doubleday Books for Young Readers, which is a division of Random House. This one was done in 2003. And the bigger story, it says, a sound like someone trying not to make a sound is a children's story found within John Irving's novel, A Widow for 1 Year. And this story has now been illustrated by Tatiana Hauptmann. So Random House, originally 1998, and this version 2003. There's an introduction to this story. It says, in my 9th novel, A Widow for 1 Year, I created a character named Ted Cole, a most unsympathetic writer of stories for children. Years of reading children's books to my own 3 sons has given me a low opinion of the kind of children's literature that is intent on frightening the very young. There is a long, stubborn tradition of it. In creating Ted Cole, one of the more willful villains in my novels, I was conscious of taking such an author to task. The darkest of Ted Cole's stories for children is called The Door in the Floor. A good title, a creepy story, but a sound like someone trying not to make a sound is somewhat different. It is the gentlest of Ted Cole's stories. The title, the phrase itself, is something Ted hears his 5-year-old daughter Ruth say. And because Ted Cole tells it to Ruth to help her forget a nightmare, it has a sweeter motive than do most of the stories Ted usually writes. I'm grateful to Winifred Stephen at Diogenes Verlag, my German language publisher, for the idea to publish A Sound Like Someone Trying Not to Make a Sound in book form. And also to Diogenes for persuading their marvelous illustrator, the artist Tatiana Hauptmann, to bring this story to such rich visual life. I am not a children's book author, but in creating this story, I was conscious of the many times I tried to comfort my children, to coax them back to sleep after they'd suffered one nightmare or another. This is the story that, to me, made the most sense of nightmares. I gave it as a gift to my character, Ted Cole, just as Ted's daughter, Ruth, gives him the title for the story. And that is written by the author, again, John Irving. So John Irving writes books for adults, but this is a children's story based on a character in his book telling his daughter a story. So this is going to be hopefully somewhat interesting. I love the art, I confess. I always, there's just so much being said in this tiny little picture of this little boy with his brown bear and his rumpled jammies. And sometimes things go bump in the night and it worries us. Let's begin. Tom woke up, but Tim did not. It was the middle of the night. Look at the light in that picture, even though it's dark. You can just imagine the moon in the sky. Did you hear that? Tom asked his brother. There's Tom. There's Tim. Do you think Tom will get an answer from Tim? They like dinosaurs. But Tim was only 2. Even when he was awake, he didn't talk much. Bear is so helpful. Tom woke up his father and asked him, "Did you hear that sound?" So many things that can make sounds in the night. Don't fall over the shoe by the door. What did it sound like? His father asked. It sounded like a monster with no arms and no legs, but trying to move, Tom said. How could it move with no arms and no legs? Asked his father. It wriggles, Tom said. It slides on its fur. Oh, it has fur? His father asked. It pulls itself along with its teeth, Tom said. It has teeth too, his father exclaimed. I told you, it's a monster, Tom said. Tom continues to look out the window. But what exactly was the sound that woke you up? asked his father. Oh, it was a sound like in the closet. If one of Mummy's dresses came to life and it tried to climb down off a hanger, Tom said. Oh my. Tom and Bear go outside to explore. There's a lighthouse. What are they doing outside? Look where Teddy is. Goodness me. My goodness. Let's go back to your room and listen for the sound, Tom's father said. And there was Tim, still asleep. He still hadn't heard the sound. It was a sound like someone pulling the nails out of the floorboards under the bed. It was a sound like a dog trying to open a door. Its mouth was wet, so it couldn't get a good grip on the knob, but it wouldn't stop trying. Eventually the dog would get in, Tom thought. It was like a ghost in the attic, dropping the peanuts it had stolen from the kitchen. It was a sound like someone trying not to make a sound. So many things in the dark. Such a small boy and his bear at the bottom of the stair, wondering about the dress at the top. There's that sound again, Tom whispered to his father. Did you hear it that time? This time, Tim woke up too. It was a sound like something caught inside the headboard of the bed. It was eating its way out. It was gnawing through the wood. It seemed to Tom that the sound was definitely the sound of an armless, legless monster dragging its thick, wet fur. Oh, Teddy's going far. He's just so not sure. It's a monster, Tom cried. There's a bump in the wall. It is just a mouse crawling between the walls, his father said. Tim screamed. He didn't know what a mouse was. It frightened him to think of something with wet, thick fur and no arms and no legs crawling between the walls. How did something like that get in between the walls anyway? But Tom asked his father, "It's just a mouse?" His father thumped against the wall with his hand, and they listened to the mouse scurry away. "If it comes back again," he said to Tom and Tim, "just hit the wall." "A mouse is crawling between the walls," said Tom. "That's all it was?" Here's little Tim. He's quite disturbed because he doesn't know what a mouse is. And here's the monster mouse. Tim's still not convinced. Tom, however, quickly fell asleep, and his father went back to bed and fell asleep too. But Tim was awake the whole night long because he didn't know what a mouse was, and he wanted to be awake when the thing crawling between the walls came crawling back. Each time he thought he heard the mouse crawling between the walls, Tim hit the wall with his hand, and the mouse scurried away, dragging its thick, wet fur and its no arms and legs with it. Little brother's got you covered, Tom. You have a good sleep. And that is the end of the story. Apparently the mouse has his own little playhouse too. So, sometimes we hear weird things in the night, and if you're sleeping somewhere different, it's really easy to hear strange sounds. So when I go somewhere new, I like to lay in bed and I listen and I think, oh, that's the clock ticking, and oh, that's the traffic in the street, and oh, that's the furnace, and so that I know before I fall asleep what all the different sounds are, and then I can sleep no problem. But if I don't do that, I can have trouble sleeping because I wonder, what was that sound? Just like Tom, our friends have a funny story about camping and hearing terrible noises, and they thought it was a train or something coming right through their campsite, when in fact it was just the kind of frog that was really noisy that was outside their tent. Can you imagine? That's funnier almost than a monster that's a mouse. Anyway, don't let things in the night frighten you. Listen for the sounds, talk to your parents, check them out. And when all else fails, like Tom, get up and walk around and see what the dickens is making that noise. Anyway, sweet dreams. How does that go? Oh yeah, don't let the big bed bugs bite. If they do, take your shoe, beat them till they're black and blue, so to speak. Ha! Don't be afraid to sleep. There's nothing better in the whole world than rest. Helps our minds grow, helps our hearts be strong, and our lungs be strong, and our bodies grow. So sweet dreams, Jesus keep you. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Good night.